One of the key reasons why inflation still remains stubbornly high is because all these commodity prices still remain elevated after this COVID-19 period. So if you thought that you have missed out the commodity run, there's one commodity which is still a laggard, which is it should pick up with the rest subsequently. And we can see that natural gas, the current level, is still at its pre-pandemic level. My name is Kon Hao. My work in this channel, as always, is to study into the correlation between different markets and uncovering potential opportunities. And before we describe about why is there pent-up demand and the uptrend for natural gas in time to come, please do take some time to read into the disclaimer. And what we're going to do here is that we're going to study into this technical first, then I'm going to support the idea with the fundamental. And that is what I'm seeing here. That is going to pierce through this downtrend line, and then we have a pent-up demand. First, we have to understand how to construct a classic downtrend line. And of course, I will encourage you to refer to my previous videos where I state two rules how to construct a downtrend line. Why constructing a downtrend line is important, because once it is pierced above, it means that technically there's an uptrend I'm seeing. And before we talk about this uptrend, let's understand about this downtrend in 2022. And why about this downtrend? And before that, we have to understand something about fundamental about commodities is that it's very much depend on supply and demand. With a strong demand, commodity prices will edge up. And with a lesser demand, commodity prices naturally will come down. And what happened to 2022? It was because of an unexpected and unseasonable warm weather in Europe. And for that reason, there's a reduced demand for natural gas used for residential heating. And where we can see here is that 2022, the prices of natural gas come off. And I do suspect that in the future winter, it may get colder and the demand will naturally come out. And for that reason, it will follow the rest of the commodity prices and trend up from there. But there's even a stronger proposition, which is the next one, which is the Paris Agreement. And it started in 2015 and invited many nations to participate. And one of the key missions for Paris Agreement in 2015, it is to achieve a net zero emission by 2050, which is 2050. And many nations join, except for one, which is where I'm from, which is Singapore. Let's look at the night scene of Singapore. And this is where I'm from. So Singapore, given our commitment to this Paris Agreement much later, because we are serious in wanting to make this happen by 2050. After much research into the feasibility of this energy transition, we finally given our commitment to the Paris Agreement on 22nd of April 2016. So since then, Singapore has taken the path to accelerate the transition from crude oil to natural gas energy. And you may ask, why natural gas? This is because it is considered as a cleaner and more environmental friendly source of energy compared to crude oil. It also produces fewer greenhouse gas emission when burned for electricity generation. In fact, this transition from crude oil to natural gas started after 2010 for Singapore. It's even before the Paris Agreement in 2015. So with a fewer carbon emission for natural gas, we have to understand that does not mean that it is zero emission. And the question is that does it still comply to net zero emission? Well, the answer is that in transition from crude oil to natural gas for electricity generation can be a part of a broader strategy to reduce greenhouse gas emission and works towards achieving net zero emission by 2050. Therefore, I believe more and more countries will adopt this path in time to come in switching from coal and crude oil energy to this transitional energy called natural gas. And with a testimony with Singapore, I believe in time to come, many other nations will also join in with a transition energy from crude oil to natural gas. And with demand in time to come, it should move higher. And of course, with colder winter. And just some fun fact for you is that who is the largest producer of natural gas? The answer is US. And where can we find them in US? Henry Hub natural gas futures. And the name Henry Hub is not specifically named after a person, but instead it is named after the community called Henry in Louisiana. Join us in our weekly case study and discussion. You can find out more information on how to do that by clicking on my profile icon. Feel free to leave any comments below. I love to exchange ideas with you. Really happy that you stayed through this tutorial. You have many great trading weeks ahead.